This is Khatt Chronicles, design stories from the Arab world. My name is Yara Khoury Nammour, and I have with me today Sina Fakour. Sina Fakour is an Iranian visual artist, graphic, and type designer. He is also a researcher and tutor based in Lyon. He graduated with a BA in graphic design from the École des Beaux-Arts de Lyon and holds a master's degree in graphic design from the École supérieure d'Art et Design de Valence. In 2023, he also completed his postmaster research program at Atelier National de Recherches Typographique, ANRT, in Nancy, France. His work revolves around the concepts of language, writing systems, code, and translation. These concepts are expressed through diverse mediums, including print, multilingual typography, editorial design, type design, creative coding, scientific experimentation, tool making, photography, video, and more. Furthermore, he participates in and gives lectures on typography, his research, and his practice at various events, as well as regularly engaging with art schools as a teacher, jury member, or workshop instructor. Welcome, Sina.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure for me.
Yes, pleasure for us too. Can you tell us a bit about your beginnings? We know that you're from Iran, but describe how you grew up, in what situation you grew up, what brought you to this world of ours.
Yes, I was born and raised in Iran. I did engineering studies, which is completely different from what I am doing right now. I think it was when I was a teenager, I got interested into art and especially graphic design. But yeah, I did engineering studies because there was nobody in our family. I didn't have any idea that art can be a job, because there were no one around me that was doing art or design as a job. So it was always obscure in my mind, and also the pressure of having an engineering degree or medical degree. It is always something in Iran. So I continued because I was good at physics and mathematics. I do the engineering studies, but in the middle, I understood that it is not for me. I pursued, after completing my engineering studies in Iran, I tried to pursue art. So I came to France and I started from the first year bachelor's study art and graphic design in the Fine Arts School. And yeah.
And do you think, I know for a fact that you did mechanical engineering, actually.
Yeah.
And has this study of mechanical engineering informed your design practice? How did it inform it when you look back at it?
I think there are some experiences that any experience in life can actually inspire you when you are doing design or graphic design or art, for sure.
I agree.
And there are some mathematical understanding that helped me when I am doing coding. For example, the first courses I had in engineering school that I really liked was industrial drawing. I liked it, even though before that I did 3D a little bit. So imagining the 3D objects, drawing them, it was something really fascinating for me. But also, yes, rational thinking, pragmatic thinking, problem solving, all these are used in design field as well, But more than that, I think it helped me understand what I don't like to do. More interesting for me. Yeah, exactly.
And so, do you think you would like to teach because we know that you're also a teacher, do you think you would like to teach your students more engineering thinking?
I think both parts are important. Expressing artistic thinking and engineering and rational thinking are important. But to what degree each person go more deep, it depends on completely the person, I think. And I think having different skills helped me a lot, for example. So just
it was personal effort, those skills?
Yes, I think so somehow, but there were some, because I have very different and diverse interests. But I think when I'm teaching, what I try to do, I try to show these different aspects to my students and make them understand that they exist, make them experiment and try a little bit so they can understand if they like it or not. Without testing, without understanding, without experimenting, they cannot understand that there is other words that exist. I have some cases my students come to me and say that, okay, I am going to work on this, but this is not graphic design. And I am just trying to make them understand that no, it is more vast than you think. In graphic design, you can go very far. You can do very different stuff. You can do interactive design. You can do like coding, creative coding, but they don't know that exists. So showing them, I think, is making them understand that there are various paths that they can choose. Actually, yeah. And this helped me a lot. For example, yeah.
There's a reverse trend going on that they actually are teaching engineering in schools, engineering, mechanical or civil, all the upcoming engineers, they're teaching them design thinking. So they want that link, to be honest. So I think
I think they can be complementary. Exactly. Yeah.
So what do you enjoy most doing these days, designing?
I actually, as I told you, I have very different interests. Sometimes it is really good because I can experiment different stuff, but sometimes it is frustrating because I cannot stick into one project at once, and I have to do different stuff. I love, for example, type design. I do type design all the time, but I cannot do it like as permanent job, always doing type design. I cannot do that. So I kind of do different stuff at the same time and advance in different projects at the same time. So these days I do kind of some research. Apart from my teaching career, I do some research. Right now I'm working on a concept. I don't know how far it will go, but I'm working on concept of an alternative keyboard for Arabic. Yes, I'm thinking that things can be easier for users and designers if the keyboard was made differently. At the same time, I do type design. I'm working on another font, and then
I heard you're working on a font that is going to be published soon.
Yeah, that one. Yes, that one is going to be published really soon. I hope so. But apart from that one, I have started another one, which is more a text typeface. Again, multiscript, Latin, Arabic, Persian, and then there are some other projects, like small projects that I have, like social projects, some small clients that I have that I work for them, mostly identity design and stuff like that. I'm also thinking of doing more publication. These are all projects that's going on.
Multi-talented. I understand, because type design can drag you and can become very repetitive in a sense, and it has its own world. So keeping it fresh and looking at things in a different perspective is always important. But let's go to your type design. Two questions here. First, how do you start with a project on type? How do you start a type design project? Is it the form? Is it the function? What are the parameters you think of when you first start? What is your incentive to start such a big project? And it takes a lot of time and effort to do it.
Yeah, sure. Actually, my interests, like the concept of, I am so much concept based. I do like really the forms, but for me, the concepts are really important. And what inspires me comes from out of the realm of graphic design or type. Most of the time, my interest comes from like human experiences, historical resources, and stuff like this. So when I do a typeface, I make sure that I can make a point that is not made before or something. Like I can push the boundaries of something. And also, as Arabic type is not as saturated and not as,
there aren't many examples to go or typefaces as much as Latin.
They're not as much as Latin. So I try to make sure to base my work on a historical basis. For example, on a script that is not yet worked on. For example, I don't know, a script from the 7th century, 8th century or something, if it is historical, or if it is more contemporary from a vernacular practice, like in a society, like, I don't know, like for example in Urdu type, when we see very fascinating forms that are not yet exploited
Mm-hmm.
in Persian, in the street signage. All these are the elements that inspire me a lot. And then, of course, this is the beginning. And then I go further and make it work in the realm of type design. I make
Mm.
it work as a type because most of these are very complicated to have them as type. Most of them are lettering, so playful, and just systematize them are so complicated. So
Mm.
I try to make a kind of a connection and something in between those expressiveness and the systematic way that we do type design. This is actually, I think this is not the best solution. Actually, I think it is a very long procedure and there's a lot of work. So there should be two people at least to do multiscript. But for now, I have done all the time the Latin myself. So the
Mm.
project takes a lot of time. Once I did it like an Arabic typeface for it was for a project and it is open source right now. It was made for an open source Latin type, so it was just Arabic.
What
Uh,
is the name? Can you
it is
share it with us?
Palermo. Yeah, it is. It was for a project that actually there is an artist collective in France, an artist whose name is Sébastien Thierry, who has started to do a do an art project. The art project consists of making a ship to save immigrants in the Mediterranean Sea.
Mm.
So the real ship, like it is a very huge project.
Okay.
And so it implicates a lot of people in the project, and most of the people are working like in a volunteer base for this project. And when I was in ANRT, I got to know this project, and because this ship is going to host a lot of different nationalities, they needed a multi-script typeface to communicate about the ship inside or outside the ship. We took an open source Latin typeface and I
Mm-hmm.
designed the Arabic, Persian, Urdu, Kurdish counterparts so they can go together. It is a display typeface. It is not for text really. It is very condensed. The other typeface that I'm going to publish soon, I started with Arabic and then I talked to the foundry and they told me that okay, this is really good. We want that, but most of the time, Arabic typefaces they need to have Latin counterparts. It
Mm.
was not really my choice to do the Latin, but it is the need of the market. Most of the time, somebody and I understand because when I use an Arabic type, I just it is more suitable that it has a Latin counterpart. So you can use both of them in a publication because we use most of the time in Iran, in Lebanon, I guess, most of the time multi-script editorial design is everywhere.
And
It
even
is,
if it's not a bilingual publication in its
yeah, exactly.
entirety, sometimes your block of text in Arabic has a few words in Latin and they pop up.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
even if it's
exactly.
one language in Arabic or Persian, you have some words that are in Latin letters, Roman.
Yeah, exactly. So it is more convenient to have both of them and not to change the font every time. Yeah, it is something that
Mm.
I really thought about it from the childhood. Latin typeface is everywhere on the magazines, on the I don't know, in the store signage, in the street, in the highway, everywhere because English is a like international language, so we have it
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
And also there is this, of course, the history of the domination and colonization and everything. So a French person who is using Latin type does not need anything else. But
Exactly.
when you are working with Arabic, you always need a Latin type.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah,
But you also teach
yeah,
Arabic type design and
yeah,
in France, right?
yeah, exactly.
And how has that been? How has been teaching your teaching experience of Arabic type to, I'm assuming, French students?
Yeah,
How was that?
yeah. It is interesting because I do Latin type as well, but most of the time people come to me for my expertise, which is Arabic. And here in France, it is crazy because there is 10% of the people who are uh, from Arab immigration, like origins, or they are second generation, third generation, or directly they have immigrated from North African countries. But there is no need for Arabic, really zero need. Even I think in France, we don't have a lot of type designers who work on Arabic. So I insisted on working more with that. And of course, my clients are all out of France. I don't have any French client that asks me to do like Arabic design, lettering, logo, identity, or even type. But in the schools, the fine arts school in France, they are really kind of open, where I studied as well. They try to, they are mostly based on practice and experimentation. So I offer my workshops on Arabic type design, very experimental approach for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So they understand how another system of writing is possible. Because when you think of a writing system, you think of another way of thinking for sure.
Exactly.
At first, they are all used to write left to right, so they have to redesign their mind in a way to write right to left, and also
Mm-hmm.
understand that how the letters connect to each other. It is a very like good exercise for in terms of forms, and also in terms of the concept of the writing in general.
Mm.
So and it is so surprising for me, because most of the time when a person who knows the script tries to make forms, we are mostly format.
Familiar or
Yeah,
familiar.
yeah, exactly. We are familiar, so we have already some forms in our head, and we try to reproduce them. But for a person who doesn't know anything about the writing system, they come up with very crazy and new ideas that even gives me some ideas, like, because they don't have any idea how this system writing system looks like. So they don't go to follow something that is done before, so they
Mm.
feel so free and they make really crazy forms. And it is interesting for me because it gives me some ideas as well.
I will ask you about your ANRT experience. How did you decide to join such a program? And what was your incentive to go there and dedicate? How long is it? 1 year or 2 years of
It is
research?
about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
1 year and a half, 1 year and a half. It is the research process and everything, and this final 6 months is about publication or doing an internship or yes.
I heard you talk about it at Face Interface in Stanford
Yeah,
this
yeah,
past December. So, can you share with us, listeners,
yeah,
about your
exactly.
project?
Actually, ANRT is a very well-known institution in France, actually.
Mhm.
Every person who is interested in type design, they know ANRT, and it is a very it's the place that you can pursue very high level of research on type design. And what is good about ANRT is that it is not limited to any practice. You can choose any script that you want. And there is a program in ANRT which name is Missing Scripts. This program is about making typefaces, making visual representation for writing systems that are excluded.
Mm.
Either they are old, they are not used anymore, or they are for minorities, mostly the writing systems that are not still in Unicode. Each year, this program offers some different scripts. And when I finished like studies in my master's degree, and after that, I worked some years, and it was COVID period and stuff. And after that, I needed to do something like more research. I really felt the need for that and going further in type design. And I saw that there is this program, there is this offer of research program to work on linear Elamite.
Mhm.
At that time, it was really interesting for me because it was a writing system that was just deciphered. Like when I was going to apply, the news of decipherment of this writing system just came out. And it is crazy because this writing system is one of the first writing systems of the world, you know.
Mm.
And what was made it more relevant to me, it was that the archaeological sites are in Iran, actually. So the archaeologist that who worked on this, François Doucet, was living in Iran for 10 years. So I started to contact him to ask him more questions about this decipherment. And it became more and more interesting for me.
I just realized that you never had a formal type design education. How did you learn it by yourself, or Where did you start? Were you experimenting on your own? How did you learn the technical part, the software?
Yeah, I didn't have actually in Lyon in my bachelor's the studies is a little bit oriented toward type design, but Latin for
Oh,
sure.
mm-hmm.
So we had these courses. It is not completely type design for sure. It is graphic design in general, but we had like one course in second year and one long workshop in the third year of designing a Latin type.
Mm,
So it was the
okay.
beginning, and then I got interested, and then from there I got it like it was completely personal. For example, during my master's, I chose the subject of my master's to work on Arabic type, which was not something that was done in my school, for example.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Yes, it was mostly autonomous. I think most of the people who do Arabic type they do this
Like
because
most of us, I was just
yeah,
gonna say, like
exactly.
most of us here.
Yeah, you can understand it well actually. You did it way before than me. Actually, it should have been much more difficult at your time
Mm-hmm.
because when I started, there was like more resources rather than when you started, I guess. But
Yes.
still, there is not enough like resources. There is not enough courses. There are some workshops and courses which are like not everywhere and they're expensive. Right now, it is getting better for sure, but at my time, it was not the case. So I had to like learn everything from the internet, just try
Exactly.
and fail and learn and just put myself in the mood of type design. Just follow the people I like. I know they work in the field. Just follow their works.
Mm-hmm.
Attend the conferences.
Did
Yes,
you
it was.
learn calligraphy, for example? Did you take a workshop in
No,
Arabic calligraphy, or you just did it on your
no,
own?
I'm not a good calligrapher. I am interested in that. I really like to look at the resources and old calligraphy manuals and everything. I try a little bit, but I'm not a really good calligrapher. But in Iran, actually, when you're a kid, it is one of the courses that you have
Mm,
calligraphy courses in the like elementary school and middle school. You have this, so you
mm,
are
interesting.
you are familiar with the subject, and all of the Iranians kind of,
Mm.
but it is mostly Nastalia for sure.
When we're talking about calligraphy, I just remembered your project, Sawad. I mean, it blew my mind the first time I saw
Thank
your
you.
hand moving across that tablet and going bigger and smaller. And this is exactly how when I'm designing my typefaces,
Mm,
I go like this. And not
mm,
like this. I mean, I use my hand all the time to set the angle and I move it all the time.
nice.
And it was just like, it is such a beautiful user experience. Where is that? We want that. We need it.
Yeah, I need that as well. Actually, you can use it right now, but you can just not export the forms.
Mhm.
It is exactly actually these projects came out of the frustration that I had when I was doing research on type design, and I saw that okay, there is not enough resources on Arabic type, there is not enough tools neither on Arabic type. At that time, I think glyphs was starting to be something like I used Font Lab, and Arabic designing Arabic in Font Lab, there is some hassles because you cannot type it really well and stuff. And also the simple fact of just typing an Arabic text in Adobe softwares, it was something. It is something. Like I
It
have
is.
many colleagues that they just write to me an email and said that okay, we cannot write Arabic, we cannot copy the text in Arabic, and this is crazy. So these frustrations made me think of this platform that I did, Sawad, the platform that at the same time tries to host critical research and resources on Arabic, also video resources, and also textual ones. And also a part of that hosts different tools like the Calamus tool that, yes, you can do lettering, Arabic lettering. It is made with the idea of Arabic in the
Mm,
core. And then you can use it for other skills for sure. But I wanted it to have a reason to be because of the lack that we have in Arabic. So right now we can use the platform on any like touch screen,
mhm.
but because I got so
Do we
busy.
need to contact you to do that, or it's out there?
Yes, I can send you the link. Yeah, if
Mhm.
you're interested, I can send you the link and you can use that.
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot. The problem is that you cannot export the forms yet because there are coding problems that I have encountered, and it is not. It is out of the scope of my expertise at this point. I have coded
Mm.
everything myself, but at some point I need more help.
Do you need to
And also,
partner with other people, like
yeah,
maybe
exactly.
glyphs?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, making some partnership with even a developer that who is interested. I would be glad to work with, so we can get this more far and get it out. Because my idea is to have it accessible for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I had this idea of including machine learning into that platform, and this is exactly what I cannot do because my coding skills are not that far, that I'm not that expert.
Can you
But yeah,
explain more about machine learning? What do you mean?
it means that, for example, it can understand the lettering of the different people. Like, for example, if a million person work with the platform and they draw the letter Ra,
Mm.
different form, machine learning can make us understanding about the habits of the people. For example, they
Okay.
can tell us that,
Yes.
okay, 50% of the people who connected from the like Arab countries, they prefer to write raw this form. People who are in Pakistan, they prefer to write like this form. So
Mm.
you can understand more about the habits
Mm-hmm.
of the different people. And then this can go even further and propose like forms to the user that say that, okay, this form maybe it is suitable for you, and give you variations the same way like you can
Exactly.
see
Or it
it,
can also recognize the form and put it in the glyph
exactly.
compartment, for example, that you're thinking of.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
the Ra goes to the Ra, or the
Exactly.
connected
You
Ra.
can you can practically write, instead of writing the letters, you can write the words, and then it detects the different letters in the word and
Mm.
just put them in the cases. And then,
Exactly.
of course, it needs editing after. But yeah, it can be more useful because in that case, many ligatures can be done really easily.
Mm.
You don't have to write. You just write organically the words, and then it is detected and it is put in the different
Mm.
case. Yeah.
So, if you think about the projects that you would like to do in the future, what do you dream of when you're sitting alone and thinking, what would I really like to work on? What is it, because we need this project, or is it a personal interest that you have? Tell me about what you really think when you're alone that you would like to be involved in next, because you're a very diverse and talented designer that you can take on almost anything. This is how I
Yeah,
feel,
thank
and I think about you. So,
you. It is something that I've been thinking a lot recently. One of my dreams that I am really looking forward to do that is going more into publication and even making my publication house, but not a
why?
conventional one, because I think the ideas needs to be put in the world. I struggled a lot to get information, so I try. I want to help the others after me to have more access to the information. So by publishing, it is either about design or type design. It is about,
Mhm.
of course, I will publish about the interest I have, which is mostly design, but also it can be other stuff. Um,
And why not contact other publishers to do it, to do the publishing if you're writing? So, what is it about your publisher
because
house?
I don't want it to be a conventional one. I want
Mm-hmm.
to be a non-conventional one in which the forms are so important for me. Like, for example, when I did Sawad, for me it was so important that how the user experience is. It was online, but I wanted to be in my way, in a way, I can say.
Mm.
And also, I want to juggle between different mediums. Like, for example, I like to do like playing cards sometimes
Mm-hmm.
about Arabic type. I want to do publications. I want to do fonts, in fact. And all of these, I want a place to host all of these, and they work together actually. Because
Mm.
I don't see like typefaces apart from like a publishing about, I don't know, writing. It is not apart from like a playing card about Arabic script. I think they can work all good together.
Mm-hmm.
And
And do you think of teaching also when you're thinking of these projects? Like, what are the tools that you need to
yeah,
teach those students about
yeah,
Arabic
yeah,
typography, not only type design? I mean, there's lots of resources that are not there
yeah,
when
exactly.
we're teaching.
Yeah,
So, do you dream of these sorts of tools to use in the classroom?
yeah, yeah. This is actually the idea. As I told you, it is from the frustration of lack of tools and everything. I would love to have like a playing card that explains me different kind of fonts, Arabic fonts
Mm,
that exist, you know? So making these can help really my students as well, and all the students, like, to get interested, get
mm,
involved, and also to transform this kind of hassle of accessing knowledge to something more playful, to something more interesting,
mm,
more beautiful. So yeah, this is something, and also publications about the history of this Arabic type, history of the Arabic script, and the
mm.
effort that is done. So all of these are so interesting for me to publish more on that. But as you know, publishing is a very big project. You know, you need time, you need many effort, and most of the time before publishing, you have nothing. You know, you have to do
Mm.
all these to get the result after.
Isn't it a goal for a lot of people? I know,
Yeah,
including
sure.
myself. But so, what is it about what you want to do, or your work, type, or
Mhm.
graphic, or coding, that you most, or teaching, that you find the most difficult?
The most difficult thing for now, the resources are easier for now because I have understood how it works. But the most difficult for me is the logistics. Like, it is crazy for me, especially
Mm,
in France because of the paperwork, like accountability of my revenue. I don't know, the emails, the tax, and also marketing part, like portfolio, putting my work out. These are things that are
absolutely understood. You want another Sina that picks your mind and does that for
exactly,
you. You just want a copy of yourself that
exactly.
understands what you do, but do the other things that you need to do.
That's it. It is a lot
A
of work.
clone.
It is a lot of work. It is necessary, but it is not what I like to do. It is not my job. My job is to make things. My job is not to publish like what I did, you know. It
Mm,
is it is a little bit frustrating to, and if you don't do that, you are like easily disappeared, you know.
mm, mm,
It is crazy that and how the social media actually has affected our lives, that you have to have a presence in there. I try to limit my presence in there, but sometimes you have to put your ideas in the word to
mm,
make the people understand what you're doing. You have to do either social media, or it is your website. Even your simple website, it has a lot of work to do to make it keep it updated.
mhm.
So these are
Uh,
the things that I really don't don't enjoy doing so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying that says in Arabic that the carpenter's door is always broken.
Oh my God. Yeah, we have the
You have a
we have
similar
the
thing?
same thing, but it is the potter always drinks from a broken
Cup,
uh,
cup or
cup.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I always find it fascinating how you explain what you do to people who are not in the industry.
Mm.
What do you say when people ask you, Sina, tell me, what do you do?
Actually, for me, it depends on the person. If it is in the field or not, it changes a lot. For example, the person who is a little bit informed or not, and also how much time I have and how much energy I have to do. I start like this. I say, do you use fonts in your computer when you write? And say yes, like Times New Roman, like Helvetica, Arial. Said yes, and they say there are people who design them, and I
Mhm.
am one of them. Like, this is
Okay.
basically like that. And then I take from there and I say that, okay, my difference is that I work on different writing systems like multiscript fonts. So when you type, you don't have to use different fonts. One font can cover different writing systems and languages.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are interested, based on their questions and based on their interest, I can go further or can give it a
So
call.
you only identify yourself in terms of type design as a type designer.
I
That's the
think
most
so.
dearest to your heart. Is that
Yeah,
it?
I think so. Yeah, it is something like that. Because and also I sometimes tell them that I'm graphic design as well, but graphic design is more understood.
What do you think of the growing anxiety or concern that design will soon become irrelevant with AI based applications?
Yeah, it is a very interesting subject. I got interested into that. I even wrote a little small article on a website about this. And I try to talk about this to my students as well. Of course, I don't have all the answers because it is so new and we don't know where it goes. But I think if we look at the past, every time a technology was introduced, we had this fear. Like when the digital photography came, we all said that, okay,
The
analog
camera.
photography is done, the old cameras is done, but they are still existing. So there is just a change in the paradigm of their existence. So at that time, maybe the analog cameras was made for every purpose. Now it is reserved to more artistic work. So again, about the paintings, like portrait painting was considered dead when the camera came, but it still exists. People are doing self-portraits. It is in another kind of atmosphere they are existing. So I think again, for the AI, it is important to understand that our relationship to our work and understand that we don't have to do what a tool, a technology can do. We can introduce other stuff like human values, human morality, because for AI it doesn't matter what the moral of the work is. They just do everything. But I think by introducing these intellectual understanding of our work, we can change the paradigm of our work and make it still exist, but in another dimension. Of course, if you, I don't know, if you think of graphic design as someone who is making just irrelevant logos for any brand, yes, AI can completely replace it. But if we understand graphic design as something more critical, more like trying to engage social changes, trying to introduce moral values, trying to question our understanding about the brands and everything, then it can be more interesting. Because I think introducing ideas is not something yet the AI can do. I'd like to hope that we can actually find other places to make our art and make our jobs still continue.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will.
Yeah,
As long as we have our intelligence and not
yeah. And also the thing is, it doesn't mean that we should not question about AI. That's for sure. We should question who got the technology. But at the same time, I think this is a past that is engaged and it cannot be stopped. So we should redefine our relationship with that and make it more moral, more ethical, and to put the human and the humanistic values in the center all the time.
Well said, Sina. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Any final thoughts or words you would like to leave us with?
No, I think I have said everything, and thank you so much again for this nice talk. And also, I want to thank you as well because you also were one of the people that when there was not so much resources, I looked at. So, this is a good place to thank you about this.
Thank you, Sina.
Thank you.